There are 5 million EVs on the road today, and most of those 5 million were sold in the last 2 or 3 years. In California, 1 out of every 4 vehicles sold, new vehicles sold, is an electric vehicle. So we see this trend and it's going up, right? Like we're getting to this point nationally where we're closing in on what we call this hockey stick curve, where after 12% of new vehicles sold are EVs, you just see this trend go really high, really fast. And so I think what we're starting to see, and people notice it on the road, is there's more EVs. It is probably a surprise for a lot of people if you ask them how many models there are of electric vehicles. You know, they'll probably say, well, I think I see 10, 20, it's the usual suspects, maybe Tesla. There are over 130 models of EVs on the road now. And I think the surprising stat with that is that there are probably going to be 100 more from the manufacturer side that come out in the next handful of years. So we are looking at 200 plus different types of EVs that are going to be on the road. And a lot of these are, you know, the vehicles that people understand, right? Like, what do I take to get to work? My light duty passenger vehicle. Or, oh, I saw a Ford F-150 Lightning. Or, neighbor got a Cybertruck. Now EVs are becoming trucks. Great. But now we're starting to move into these larger ones, garbage trucks, school buses, you know, your utility truck that comes and fixes your power line. We're starting to see Amazon delivery trucks really become fully EV integrated. You know, it's fun in my neighborhood. We like to look at all the different ones that are coming in and, you know, get to point them out. We now know that the US Post Office is going to electrify their whole fleet in the next, you know, decade. So we're really starting to see this like huge movement.
There's several differences. Of course, the gas engine runs on gasoline, puts out a lot of carbon, a lot of pollutants. There are a lot of moving parts in a gas engine. In an EV, there's basically one moving part, but all those moving parts in a gas engine make for a lot of heat, a lot of friction. So the parts don't last as long. EVs last a long time because those relatively simple electric motors don't generate as much heat, and because there's really only one moving part in there, there's a lot of maintenance advantages to an EV. You don't have a radiator, for instance. You don't have spark plugs. You don't have a timing belt or timing chain. So the advantages of driving EV, there's a big cost advantage there too. EVs have what's called regenerative braking. So that means when you take your foot off the accelerator, that electric motor becomes a generator, and it slows the car down and actually puts some charge back into the battery. Yeah, many people feel like gas engines are always more powerful because they're loud, and that EVs are more like golf carts, something that you do on the weekend, right? But you don't really do in your daily life. Well, they're certainly powerful gas engine cars, but every EV I've ever been in is very quick on acceleration, gets on the freeway very quickly. They're powerful, they're fast, and they also, because the batteries are usually low in the car, they have a low center of gravity, so they handle really well on curves and in all kinds of different weather conditions. There are several models that are smaller, more of a kind of a commuter vehicle, what we might think of, but there are a lot of SUV crossover types or even full SUVs. We're seeing pickups with the Ford Lightning and the Chevy Silverado. Rivian has one, Tesla has a pickup truck. Those are very popular. People are buying those like hotcakes. So they really are coming in all shapes and sizes these days. It's not just small economy-sized cars. There's a lot of sedans and mid-sized. It's really starting to look more and more like the gas engine car market has for decades.
And so now car companies are looking at where consumers are, and consumers want their vehicle that they currently drive, they want their next version of it to be an electric type. So yeah, we're going to make this Cadillac Escalade EV. We're going to make a Mini Cooper EV, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, right? The Chevy Trailblazer, the Volkswagen bus is going to be an EV.
In the most basic sense, we need to get from point A to point B. That's the world we're living in. So a gas engine car is going to be putting out emissions. They're going to be putting out carbon emissions, which is going to lead to more pollution, more greenhouse gases. There are health concerns with that. It's just not as good for our environment. with cars that run on electricity, that we're able to generate the electricity with much cleaner sources. So we can generate with wind, with hydroelectric, with solar power, for instance. Those are much cleaner sources of energy generation. So when we fuel our cars with those and we're driving around, we're not putting out any emissions from the vehicle itself. So that's a real benefit. There's conveniences too. So as an EV owner myself, one of the things I love is that I pull into my garage every night, I plug in, and I wake up every morning with a full tank. And I like to say that my garage is my gas station. So it's just very convenient. If you live in a multifamily dwelling, like an apartment complex or something, it's still very doable. Some apartment complexes are now beginning to install EV charging, but there's lots of public chargers around town, and you can go to a fast charger. Most of these EVs coming out now have a minimum range of 200 miles, and there are plenty now that have over 400 miles. So 200 to 300 miles is very common. You may even only need to charge once a week or so at a fast charger if you live in a multifamily dwelling.